The Foxes. Part 1. The Fox Den. Episode 1. An open field. 2 butterflies on a tree branch. An elderly woman observing them. Enter Sarai Gehrood, a young woman of Arab descent, who approaches her.
Aren't they gorgeous? Such density of beauty. I don't think there's anything as sublime in our museums of contemporary art as the colors on these 2 butterflies.
2? I only see 1.
Which one do you see?
The one that is sapphire blue and white, with bullseyes of white rings around darkened blue and white.
Well, there is also a yellow one, the color of ripe saffron, without a pattern or blemish on it. Just a little bright spot near the body. It blends in with the fall leaves.
Sarai leans in closer.
I see it.
The butterflies fly up into the air, and Sarai and the elderly woman jump back.
You shouldn't have stuck your nose in so close. Now you've spooked them both, and they're flapping about in the air.
I'll bet you the blue one lands before the yellow.
I've been watching these bugs for an hour now. I've seen how much more comfortable the yellow one seems in the air. Fine, I'll take you up on that. How much?
How alive do you wish to feel watching these critters flap about?
At my age, the more alive, the better.
$500.
$500? At this stage in retirement, $500 is my budget for the whole week. Oh, but I'm so sure of what the outcome will be. You're on.
The blue butterfly starts to descend.
Stay up, you! Stay up!
No yelling, lady. You and I aren't allowed to interfere now.
The blue butterfly approaches a branch.
Oh, shit. Come on. Come on. Oh, don't you dare.
The blue butterfly lifts up.
Oh, phew.
The blue butterfly approaches and quickly touches down upon a branch.
Shit!
The yellow one lands shortly thereafter.
The blue butterfly has landed, and now the yellow one has landed beside it.
You've won. Can I write you a check?
You can keep your money. Money means nothing to me.
I can tell you're a rich person.
Not anymore.
Well, going around making outrageous bets and then refusing to even collect when you've won. I can imagine why.
It's not that. Not entirely. My father is dead. My sisters and I paid the standard tax on the estate, 10%, but now we're being told we owe 90% of what remains. Have you ever heard of the Council of Pathetiques?
Have I heard? The Council of Krill is more like it.
That's what my sisters call them. It's not a nice thing to say. Those people have gotten the rough end of the stick in life.
Every one of those dykes and kikes and ass pushers and pushies deserves the lot they've drawn, and tenfold more if you ask me.
The 2 butterflies fly up into the air.
Oh, you've gotten too close again and startled the insects. You want to place another bet?
The horse races start in 20 minutes. I don't want to miss the opening race. Take care, old hag.
Exit Sarai. Episode 2. An open field where domesticated pigs roam about at random. Zara and Thara Gehrood, the sisters of Sarai Gehrood, look out over the field, contemplating the pending misfortunes of their family's farm.
If that's not idiotic, then there really isn't such a thing as injustice anymore.
Ugh, don't get yourself into a stir. I won't be able to tolerate it right now.
It truly is ridiculous, Thara. We need to sell every last pig on this farm just to keep the land we need to raise them. This is our father's land. I remember when, just over there, Father would bury me up to my neck in mud. We pretend I was a severed head brought back to life by the ground's magic.
You are such a beautiful head. But let's not get sentimental. Father is dead. He's not here any longer, not in this world, and not in any other world.
Don't say such things!
This is about the three of us who are still here. You might find this egotistic, but I happen to know the value of a woman's reputation in this city, its advantages, and more importantly, how it may hinder her. I've pulled out my fair share of coupons at the grocer, and I won't have anyone staring at me, hoping to see me do that again. I refuse to be such a pitiable creature. Not again. Or at least, not until I'm old and shriveled and I'm in need of a handsome grandson or two to dote upon me, to put my socks on and clip my nails and put my vitamins into those plastic containers marked Sunday through Saturday.
You may not have the luxury of so much time.
You may be right.
Tell me I'm not.
If the council wasn't a large enough thorn on our side, now we have Sarai's gambling debts to add to our worries.
Sarai's creditors are for Sarai to deal with.
Sarai's debts are now our debts, since her estate for the time being is our estate.
Nothing makes sense anymore.
You know, I had a creditor visit me this morning, and that man informed me in the most gentle-hearted manner that last Sunday our sister placed a bet on a horse to win that was 2,000 to 1. The horse didn't even finish the race, apparently. I don't want to tell you what she bet, but I'll tell you this. It could have saved us a pig or two.
Saved us a pig or two?
Did I not tell you?
What does that mean?
Sarai's creditor had some advice to offer. He suggested that we could sell a pig or two and use that money to pay off the Council of Pathetiques. He's under the impression that anybody can be bribed.
These are our father's pigs! Oh, I suppose if we have to sell one or two to keep the rest, it would be a worthy compromise.
These pigs mean nothing to me, aside from the sum I'd get for each of their heads.
Sarah!
But I refuse to sell even one in the name of this council.
We need to be realistic here, Thara. You may need to humble yourself for once in God knows how long and be willing to compromise. Otherwise, we might not come out of this so unscathed.
I've never once compromised for my status, not with someone higher up, and not, especially not, with some lot who are clearly lower. This is why the wealthy and established in this city invest so much of our fortunes into Tuckerson and his fox den, so that we need not compromise. I give my word, sister, on that beautiful head of yours, we won't be selling a single one of these pigs. Tuckerson will tell us the way, and if there isn't one, he'll think of one.
Exit Zara and Thara. An arrow suddenly flies out and strikes one of the pigs dead. Another arrow flies out and strikes a second pig dead, then a third. Enter a man dressed as Link, the protagonist from the Legend of Zelda video game series. Hitherto referred to simply as Link. He's armed with a sword and wears a bow upon his back, along with a quiver of arrows. Link slays every remaining pig but one with his sword in an acrobatic display of swordsmanship, and then, approaching the final pig, he delivers an impassioned monologue.
Ganon, King of Evil, if your present form has ears, hear me well. Starting with these incarnations of your spirits, I will progress until I rid this world of all your presence. What you would sacrifice for power, I would for the world. To return it to its original design as the three goddesses of courage, of wisdom, of power, formed an procreant trifectum. You've made this world a little bit messy, a little bit distracted, a piece of the righteous, somewhat hostile, slightly uncertain. I will make it complete. As certain as the moon is to fade at daybreak, so too shall your darkness vanish from this world by the hero's sword. There will be light again, Ganon, thou blue-faced 4. And the dark shall be vanquished till time's end. Till time reverts from 3 and becomes 1 again, and evil shall fail to become part of time's completion.
Link swiftly beheads the final pig, and then, with composure, he sheathes his sword and exits. Episode 3. The Fox Den. Tuckerson's face is magnified behind a fishbowl. Chattany and Grumfeld listen attentively.
When water is placed in a vessel, the water conforms to the shape of that vessel. Would you agree?
Obviously, this is the truth. This is the nature of water. It's well known.
Grumfeld, do you agree or disagree?
I would be a fool to disagree with such an assertion, Tuckerson.
Tuckerson stands up straight, no longer obscured by the fishbowl.
So when I poured the water into this fishbowl, which is spherical in shape, were you surprised that it took the form of a sphere?
Quite the reverse.
Nothing very unusual about water inside a fishbowl taking the exact same shape as the glass which contains it.
Well then, what outcome would have surprised you such that you would have leaped off the ground and declared,
"That which you've poured into the bowl cannot be water"? Well, perhaps if you'd have poured the water into the fishbowl, which is a sphere, and the water took the form of a cube, then I'd have accused the fish of witchcraft.
This isn't a joke, Grumfeld. I'm on to something significant here.
You are? What is it, Tuckerson?
This is consequential. I asked you a question.
My God! Then I'll say it sincerely. If you'd have poured the water into the fishbowl, which is a sphere, and the water took the form of a cube, I would have asserted, in earnest with my feet and arms both flailing about in the air, that exact statement. That which you've poured into the bowl cannot be water.
And do you agree with this, Chattany?
Certainly I do. If water rejected the form of its surrounding vessel, I would indeed say that what you poured couldn't be water.
Really? Even if it were a simple shape, such as a cube?
Only a fool would believe that water can behave in such a manner.
Not even if it took on the shape of a giraffe or a crab?
Now you're just being ludicrous, Tuckerson.
And you were just telling me to take this proof seriously.
This is no joke.
This is a serious matter, then, on the tendency of water to take the form of a crab.
So tell me, in all sincerity, would you say a man was a complete idiot if he bought into the idea that water could take on the form of a crab, even if it weren't inside a vessel? Let's say a fishbowl, that itself was expertly blown by the glassmaker to take on the shape of a crab.
This is no joke, Tuckerson, so I'll say this with my mouth straight. You'd have to be an absolute fool to get tripped up on such a yarn, without a doubt.
Don't you see what I've proven, my fellow foxes?
I have no idea what you're circling about with this argument, if I must be honest, let alone what your target might be.
We're all idiots.
I mean, just because I'm not following every twist and turn of your argument doesn't make me an idiot, Tuckerson.
I don't mean you, I mean all of us. Every last one of us are fools, and I've just proved it, without a doubt, to use your exact words, Grumfeld.
Explain it to us.
I just did. We're all fools.
All of us except for you, Tuckerson, since you've revealed the truth.
This isn't a competition, my den mates. We were told by our parents and our teachers, in whom we placed our undivided trust when we were in grade school, that as it pertains to the clouds, these structures are composed of water. All of us, as children, nodded our heads and said, well, okay, sure. This is just how it is. This is truth. And, well, okay, sure. This is justice.
What does justice have to do with it?
Never mind that. Did you not affirm, Grumfeld, just minutes ago, that one would have to be an absolute idiot to believe that water could take the form of a crab?
Indeed, this is what I affirmed, and I will stand by my original assertion.
I stand by it as well, yet I've seen many clouds take such a form.
My God, Tuckerson, you're right. By that reasoning, the clouds really couldn't be made of water. And, as you asserted, one would be a fool to believe that water could take the form of a crab, unless it was held by a container such as a fishbowl that was itself expertly blown by a blower to take on the form of a crab.
Here's an even better question for you both. Why am I the only one talking about this?
Nobody else dares ask these sorts of questions, Tuckerson. We all know this to be the case. Thank the heavens that the Fox Den is here to summon ideas from the aether that no others would summon. Who's this coming now?
That's Thara, the daughter of the late pig farmer Hamza Gehrood, who was a very well-to-do man. I know her well.
She's not a you-know, is she?
A Muslim.
A Muslim? No! I convinced Hamza Gehrood many years back that it would behoove him to renounce his godhead and replace it with the same one but called by a different name. You two, be gone! Back to your holes! This is a business opportunity, as should be obvious to you.
Tuckerson herds Shatini and Grumfeld away, and all three men exit. Episode 4. The Fox Den. Same as before. Enter Thara, followed by Sarai and Zara.
I could be staring into the 18 eyes of God right now.
You need to stop chasing the eyes of God in the 3 dice.
Stop chasing God? That's a despicable thing to tell a person. Would you have told Father to keep away from the church?
The dice table is not a church.
It is for me. Life is the product of 2 entities, the decisions we make, and something that is beyond our control and knowledge, which fluctuates by chance. If there is any greater meaning to this life or what comes after it, this isn't a decision I can make. So therefore, the meaning of my life, your life, everything around us, it comes down to a game of odds.
Either which way, it's time you found a cheaper religion. Either that, or start taking account for all the losses your god is incurring. As if the slaying of the pigs wasn't a great enough loss, the council is still insisting that the market price of every one of those pigs be included in the valuation of our estate.
That hideous council!
What did you say, Thara? What has happened to Father's pigs?
Someone went to town on them with a sword.
Of all 200, not one of the pigs was left standing.
Though 12 were still alive.
Did we submit a complaint to the council?
The council says the Gehrood family has too much status to have our complaints heard.
That doesn't seem right. And what of the pigs? What about their status? Did they also have too much of it when their lives were stolen?
That's besides the point. The vultures swarm not for the pigs. They swarm for you. In spite of how pleasant your creditors seem to be, Sarai, these are people who behave like they've been taken good care of in the past. But as I say, once a hyena, always a hyena.
Unless they're vultures.
The point is, Sarai, that Father is not here anymore, and I don't plan to be the one entrusted to tying up all your loose ends. From here on, you'll be taking responsibility for your own mismanagements. If I have to come here today to consult Tuckerson, then you can bet you'll be coming along with me.
Fine. I'll hear this Tuckerson guy out. Is that him? Over there? The one who looks like he's balancing a beaver pelt upon his head?
Enter Tuckerson, and the three sisters begin walking towards him.
Be polite. Zara, shoulders back.
Zara straightens herself out.
Tuckerson may be on our dime, but his mind works in a way that's much more fluid when he's sympathetic to a cause. You can put your shoulders further back than that, I'll pray.
Zara sticks out her chest further, nearly bending herself backwards.
You know, I understand the politics as well as you do.
Keep that to yourself if you know what's best for this family.
Episode 5. The Fox Den. Same as before. They arrive at where Tuckerson is standing, near the fishbowl.
It's good to see you, Tuckerson.
Can you really be sure of what you're seeing? How do I really know that seeing me makes you feel good, Sarai Gehrood?
This man is already getting on my nerves. Is this the one who's supposed to save us from the council?
My father didn't invest $50,000 a month for you to summon thoughts such as these from the aether. My sisters and I have come to this think tank because we need you to pull forth an idea that will work for us.
Though I may appear to be a salaried employee, in truth, I don't work for any one person, nor do the ideas I conjure. I'm a mere philosopher, a voice for an entire generation of men.
Now entrenched in their middle age.
Our father spoke very highly of you, Tuckerson. He said in all the world there wasn't a more intelligent man. As you know, my father passed away last month, and when he passed, we paid the standard tax on his estate, 10%, which, as you could probably surmise...
The initiative is noted, Sarai, but Tuckerson has already been appraised of our situation. We're here for strategy, not recapitulation.
Does your freewheeling philosopher friend know that the Council of Pathetiques is demanding 90% of the estate's original value?
I thought it was the remaining value.
95 now.
95%? That would leave us with so little. At that rate, we'd certainly have to apply for work.
Ew.
It'll be 99 before the council is done playing this game of theirs, as it's a game that never tires or relents.
That's how it is with the council. Once you agree upon 50, they'll ask you for 75, and once you agree upon that, they'll ask you for more.
And how do you force them to settle on a number?
There is only one way.
What's that?
When everything you have is theirs, they'll stop changing their numbers.
Tell me you've conceived an idea that would be helpful to my situation, that of my family.
Not only have I conceived an idea, but I've born it to fruition.
Then I should be thankful to the Fox Den.
No. Not the Fox Den. This idea is one I managed to give birth to all by my own devices, without any assistance from the other foxes to push things along.
Tell me more.
Thara, stop encouraging him. I really might vomit if I have to confront any more mental images of this man's birthing canal. But do tell us, with imagery as scant as the import of this matter is great, just how we might go about protecting what belongs to my father's estate.
You tell me, what does the Council profess to believe in as a matter of their founding principle?
Oh, Sarai can tell you all about the Council. She finds their methods noble.
I never said noble. I understand why they do what they do. They're the 7 people, after all, who have been most traumatized by society, or by the citizens who compose it.
But what does the Council signify? What do they stand for?
That every woman, once in her 20s, should be by then so impoverished that she'd never again be able to convince another person that she was still in her teens.
The idea behind the Council is simple, that those who don't have a voice should be given one, and that the most effective way of ensuring that such voices are heard is to empower a court that has the authority to advocate for the interests of the most pathetic members of society.
This is the argument of the Council, perhaps on the surface.
On the surface?
They'd like you to believe they stand upon some essential, vaporous thing, but really what they stand upon is much more solid, in intention.
Speak straight, Tuckerson.
I'm listening.
If every school of thought is a weaving and warping of arguments, and being that this is the case, and that every argument is composed of statements, wherein any time you assert something to be the case in the form of a statement, there resides an underlying premise that serves as the foundation to that statement, then what is the premise of this council?
I'm lost in a fabric like a fly in the proverbial philosopher's web.
Wait a minute. So, if every school of thought is an assertion that is dependent upon some premise, then what is your premise?
The truth!
Would you please simplify whatever it is you're getting at for those of us who don't have the patience to follow the long and winding algebra of your reasoning? I don't care to understand your method, as long as I see results. Cut to the take-home message.
I'm almost there. I'm working on it.
I thought you'd already given birth to it.
And now I'm nurturing the idea. So tell me, Sarai Gehrood, when I assert, you shouldn't steal, what's the premise of this assertion, which is what's actually being asserted?
That you yourself are not the thief?
Ha-ha, she's got a sense of humor. No, the premise is that stealing is bad. And I'm telling you, there's an assertion and an underlying premise as well that gets at the heart of the Council of Pathetiques.
Pathetiques? Why the French?
It's the most snobbish of the peasant languages.
It's a beautiful language. We should aspire to the aesthetics of the French.
All 6 of the council members have master's degrees, and not a one of them is monolingual. French, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic. They felt that French would make them come across more authoritative, but at the same time more terrifying and more trod upon, like the peasants in the Revolution.
It does have that effect.
All 7 of the council members. The man who has been raped, quantitatively the most via the rectum.
Less specifics, please.
The man with the greatest number of enslaved ancestors.
Pains me to hear it.
Then there's the white woman, because there's always got to be one of them.
They really do make their way into every movement.
No matter which of the 7 we might wish to interrogate so as to reveal the premise of their argument, the 7 of them share the same core belief. Justice should be determined by those who have been wronged by the greatest number of people who exist above them in the social hierarchy. And furthermore, that because this hierarchy is but a social construct, it might as well be done away with, like a wrecking ball to a pyramid. And so I ask you, if this is the council's argument, then what is the premise that buttresses up this argument?
You tell me.
I will. It's this, that which is a social construct doesn't exist, except for the way a crab might exist among the clouds, which, by the way, are not made of water.
Are we sure this is the man we should be trusting with our fortunes?
The cloud may resemble a crab, but it's still a cloud.
I'm sure you're onto something, Tuckerson, but how do we save our farm?
By their own reasoning, couldn't you say that he who is the most downtrodden doesn't exist? Or that she who is the most downtrodden could be birthed, much like how an idea may be birthed from the canal of one's mind?
Oh, make him stop.
Those with status don't exist. Who's to say that those who are at the bottom exist, aside from how a crab exists among the clouds?
He who thinks he is Krill will be Krill.
And what does he intend for us to do with this idea that he's suckled to its teenage years?
Zara, stop. My lunch isn't sitting right.
What's to stop the crab, daughters of Hamza, from blowing into a new shape?
Into Krill. Who would believe that I was Krill?
Everyone in this city knows my status. I've made sure of it.
Tell me he's not suggesting what I think he is. I'm certainly not doing it. It's unethical.
Don't listen to your ethics, because they don't exist.
Ethics are an insurance policy, a matter of probability, which says, if I were to ever become as pathetic as those 7 on the council, how would I wish to be treated by others?
You're our best shot, Sarai.
They'd never believe I was so pathetic.
You're a gambling addict.
I am a woman who's not ashamed of her devotions.
You are 25 years old and have nothing to show for those years.
I have 2 master's degrees.
We'll be sure to bury you with your 2 papers.
Does she speak a second language?
Arabic and Chinese.
Oh, with her education and those arms, she'll fit right in.
My arms?
Plus, you're at least 2 skin tones darker than your sister.
What's that supposed to mean?
We always used to say, Mom left her in the oven a week too long.
That's a racist thing to say.
We're of the same race.
Even if Sarai were accepted into the council, she'd only be one of 7 justices. I still don't see how this will protect our estate.
If she follows my guidance, she'll not only argue her way onto the council, but she'll be able to gain influence over the arbiter, the lowest of the low. Not all voices on this council have the same volume, and the arbiter influences the voices of those higher up, like an echo that erupts from a trembling gorge.
I'm not okay with this. Forging my identity as a means of influencing justice?
It's this or poverty for you. Your sister is young, and she still has her looks. I have my career. You, on the other hand, do you figure the casinos will want you chasing the 18 eyes of God without any money? Or that the horse track will allow you on the grounds when you're too broke to bet the minimum?
I'd do anything, I suppose, if it meant not being that poor.
All right, I'll tell you exactly what to say.
If it's truly the only option. Talk to me, Tuckerson. I'm listening.
The first thing they'll come after you for is your status. When someone tells you that you have status, don't ask yourself, that word, status, what does it really mean? That's the natural instinct, but it's the wrong question. For example, if I were to ask you, what does the word rich mean? How would you define it?
Having a lot of assets. More than what other people have.
So if I were to say that the creme brulee is rich, does that mean my dessert of custard and toasted caramel has a lot of assets?
Not in that sense.
Thus, I've proven the premise of my assertion, which is what was really being asserted. Ask not what the word rich means, but rather, why is the speaker using this word, rich, in reference to me?
So when they tell me I have status, I should start by asking them why their preference is to use the word status to describe me?
Exactly.
And when they insist that it's just their way of punching upwards, how do I respond?
By asking them, why do you punch me at all?
Sarai, seems queasy.
So, in other words, I hunch down?
Sarai vomits.
Ew, Sarai, that got on my shoe.
Come with me to my hole. I'll teach you everything else you need to know about confronting the most pathetic members of our society.
Exit Tuckerson, accompanied by Sarai.